Thank you for attending our press conference. If I have anybody that's seated in the back, you'd like to move forward so you can hear better, please feel free to move forward. I'll just ask maybe Mr. Sherrod, can you hear me okay out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, we'll try to keep our audio up. Good afternoon. My name is Cole Stanley. I am the current mayor of the city of Amarillo, and we've called this press conference here today and welcome the citizens at large to observe it, participate here because of the developments on the tragedy that we've seen over this last weekend. The first thing that I would like to do here is thank Mike Connor and his team for facilitating some of our local heroes that are taking their time away from their normal job duties to be here and help facilitate this. Thank you for setting it up. Why are we in the airport? I know we're reading some Facebook comments, and the question is why is this not at City Hall? And so Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Tips, served as the Mayor Pro Tem here for the last 3 days. After the fire was contained and we had received some reports, my family and I left town on Wednesday morning. We juggled some airfare, had a few changes in order to get back around 3 o'clock here this afternoon. There wasn't time for me to risk being able to get from the Southwest Airlines terminal all the way downtown to City Hall. And I didn't want to be late to an important meeting like this. So we scheduled the press conference here because this is not acceptable to give a statement to an issue like this or to come out on Tuesday after a holiday weekend of saying nothing. So what we wanted to do, we found out about some of these developments, specifically the notice of violation, yesterday morning. I didn't hear anything until roughly 9:30 or 10 in the morning. And so to be here today, the reason that we're in the airport is because this facility represented the easiest way for us to accommodate you and make sure that I was able to get back in town, because I want to look you in the eye and I want to address everything and every concern as much as possible here today in a timely manner. Let me move on to the individuals that may be here or be watching or can hear this that have suffered any kind of a loss of property, maybe pets or animals, some of those items that cannot be replaced, photographs and memorabilia from your family. Our heart goes out to you, and you are our priority. There's nothing more important for us to focus on right now than those people who have suffered through this tragedy. And ultimately, that's what this is a tragedy. And I think on Sunday, we all saw our local heroes respond. And I would just say that for me, those local heroes, those first responders, the emergency management crews that responded to all of the fires that we've seen over these last couple weeks, really, I can't say enough in appreciation of how much we appreciate your service over self and your willingness to put yourself out there to protect life and property. And so there is no tolerance for any criticism for our first responders. There's no tolerance for what they do in us second guessing some of the things that they could or could not have done. Unless we are out there with them, we have no place to stand in that. Now, I'll separate that from there is a great tolerance for questioning policy, procedure, management, and the way that we lead. And so today, what you're seeing, I believe, is leadership in trying to get in front of every camera, microphone that we can and address this on behalf of the community the right way. So thank you to every fireman and firewoman and every supporting person, all of our volunteers that have fought valiantly against all of the fires that we've witnessed. So what we want to do here is we want to do an update. Everything that we know as it pertains to an investigation, a notice of violation, anything from the TCQ, you need to know it. You need to know when we knew it. You need to know how we found out about it. And you need to know everything that we understand at this time. We do not have the luxury of speculation. So we will not get up here and speculate on what we think could or could not have caused the fire. We will not speculate on when this could or could not have been handled. We will give factual data, and we will have some additional documentation that we can release after this. Thank you to the members of the media that'll be here. We want to do your Q&A first, as I said earlier, and then we will try to respond as much as we can to the individuals that are here today that may be here because your property was damaged or you live nearby these fires. Specifically, what we're addressing here today is the landfill fire and that notice of violation that came from the TCEQ. I want to do one thing here. I want to make sure we understand who I'm representing. I'm an elected representative. I'm not a public official. There's a difference. I don't work for the government. I don't get paid by the city of Amarillo. I don't represent the staff. I represent everyone in our community to the best of my ability, regardless of whether or not I agree with you or you think well of me. And I know I sit on a really strong team, and they do the same. Because of that, you need to understand there is a drastic distinction between what a city manager needs to do in representing an organization that he's been hired by contract to perform that job, and what my job is as the local mayor. I have limited capabilities and limited authorities, but as the head of the city, still have responsibility to speak and to lead. And so it's with humility and openness that I bring that to you, so that I hope you see the spirit that I'm operating in. It is the spirit of truth and of no agendas that I'm working for. And there is nothing that is hidden or done behind a closed door or in secret that we'll tolerate in any way. What we know, this was a tragedy and a ferocious response. So we had individuals that respond timely on a Sunday afternoon. What I don't know right now is exactly when the fire started, when it was noticed, how the fire started. What I do know is that we were on scene within moments of activation, and containment was deployed. City manager did contact me and let me know that he had a subcontractor that specializes in these types of fires. A landfill fire is totally different from the other types of fires that our men and women train for. They tend to burn down or across, not up and out. And so the chemicals that are involved, the carcinogens that you're exposed to, and the type of firefighting apparatus and equipment that you need to permanently extinguish one of those fires is different. So I think it is good executive function of the city manager to hire additional help and to bring them in. Last Thursday afternoon, I signed a disaster declaration, which was in effect, which was good. It brought every resource that we needed from TDEM, Texas Department of Emergency Management. And so bringing all that to the forefront, we had more people available to continue to try to fight the fires that ultimately we were not able to prevent those from getting those structures. Right now, I understand that there are 77 structures that were affected, and plus or minus, I wish I knew the exact, but I believe it's 54 that are total losses. If those numbers aren't correct, please forgive me. I'm just doing my best to tell you everything I know. The subcontractor was mobilized and utilized. There has been some speculation as to whether there was ever a stand-down order. There was never a stand-down order on any firefighter not to extinguish the fire in that capacity that they were on site. And so during the transition of bringing the subcontractor in, I want to make sure we extinguish the fallacy that says, oh, you guys took a break and you said, sorry, we're not able to fight this fire here today. In no way, shape, or form was that the case. So the notice of violation hit my desk really in the mail sometime next week. I want to make sure you hear me say that correctly. The notice of violation that comes from TCEQ, the authority that has jurisdiction over matters like these, will hit my desk sometime next week. I was made aware of it Thursday, May 20th, around 9:30 in the morning. We were made aware of it at the city manager level, I believe through social media. Because of the system that's in place with TCEQ, they are able to go out and hear a complaint, do an investigation, run that complaint, deal with the city staff, and then give a certain allotment of days, 30 days, 60 days for resolution. In my opinion only, that's a pretty poor system. And so the number one thing that I think council should move on and require is a policy change. That is our authority and that's our right. And we should not have a policy that does not speak to the fact that our city manager by the charter is governed to keep us fully advised of all needs of the city. He didn't know about it. We didn't know about it until it was too late. And so that's a big problem. I'll come back to that point here later. Staff was made aware of this back in early April of this issue. So let me speak to the notice of violation. Councilman Tips and I got on the phone yesterday afternoon. It was probably right around lunchtime. I had taken the initiative to reach out to the TCEQ regional director. I'm not going to sit back and wait on staff to bring me documentations. You shouldn't have elected representatives that do that either. The initiation from the office of mayor needs to go forward like it did yesterday to the TCEQ and require documentation. In a conversation, which I did loop in Councilman Tips, we learned a great deal. We learned that on May 30th, the TCEQ received a complaint. On April 30th, thank you, Councilman. On April 30th, they received a complaint that said that there was a lack of good cover over the waste in the landfill. They did investigate that on April 30th. Staff worked with them. And then in some of the documentation that I requested, so I did send an email later that day, included city manager and staff for public information release. They got that to me, the TCEQ got that to me as soon as they could. Within hours, I had that. Inside of that document, which I'll release to the media and anybody that would like to see it, because once again, there's no reason that I should ever be privileged with information that you're not privileged with in an investigation of this matter concerning a tragedy with these kind of developments. They knew about some of the landfill cover in April. They had some equipment malfunctions. They had a lack of equipment. We can see through some of this paperwork that they were trying to do certain things to cover. I don't know whether they ever met the requirement to cover it daily. But what I do know is that that complaint and that investigation is unresolved. And what that means is I do not have the luxury to speculate on that. We've got to allow the investigation to go forward and see what has been covered, what has not been covered, and then the appropriate steps to make sure that doesn't happen again. Staff documentation will also be included in that investigation. So I need you to hear that I'm not running my own investigation. I'm allowing the city manager to run his investigation, and I'm working in step alongside of him as your representative, reaching out to the third parties that I have access to make sure that I'm getting and gleaning all that data that I can. And then I want to be sure and disseminate that the right way. What actions are left on this investigation? Honestly, we don't know exactly what's left on the investigation. We know there will be a full requirement of all data, documentation, emails, and staff's participation and performance at the landfill. We also believe we'll get further investigation information from our fire marshals and those that are involved in understanding where this fire started. I don't have an ETA for you, maybe weeks before we get that finalized. So how council will respond once all this data is collected? There's two things that I think are very important. You heard me mention earlier. We need a policy that makes sure that we have a compliance measure in place, and that anytime we're noticed with something like that, that it cannot be prevented from getting to upper management and the city manager, and then also in the hands of city council. Essentially, what we get to do is run a budget of your money. You know, the city doesn't have any money. It's your money that you allow us to steward and to disseminate and to put into practice to deliver these core services. Because of that, that mechanism of control is what we're not able to utilize. If there are equipment failures, we have the ability to approve and authorize spends to replace that equipment, perhaps sooner rather than later. If we don't know what their needs are, we cannot collaborate with them as fellow team members. The second thing that we need to do is we need council to create a compliance component within our internal auditor. I'm going to say that again because we got a speaker going. Somebody's late for their flight. So I'm going to say this one more time. We need a compliance component with our internal auditor and the internal auditor department to make sure that there is a structure in place, perhaps automated, that allows for city management to see a red flag when it comes up. And then that can be pushed out downstream. Once again, the decisions of council and the actions for oversight will be driven by the facts of the investigation. It's not a luxury that we have to speculate. I'll say that again. We cannot speculate on what we do not know. What we do have to do is take action right now while we are learning everything that we do know. We can't allow the plane to fly itself, but we are still having to fly the plane while we're fixing the engine. Because of that, it requires a great level of transparency, upfrontness, and straightforward answers with you guys. And an ongoing way, I would imagine. I don't think that this is something that will be resolved soon or quickly, and I do know that it will test our civility and our ability to live and treat each other the way we would like to be treated around one another. I know that our Facebook warriors go to town on everything that they can. Please be considerate. Your words have power, and some of the things you say are negatively affecting those who have suffered loss. I'm extremely grateful that we don't have a loss of life, but that does not mean that people haven't been traumatized and suffered through this. So please be considerate when you think maybe you're bringing an accusation against the mayor, council, or a staff member. What you're really doing is you're spurring some level of controversy on with things that you may or may not know. And so if you know something, bring it to us. We'd love to know it. If you're speculating, please keep those to yourself. Not everybody's an expert on Facebook. That's a pretty good thing to see here today. All of the comments about why is it at the airport, what's going on. I cannot advertise my family's travel plans on Facebook of when I'll arrive. So you guys speculated as to everything that was going on, and you led an entire group of people down 10 different paths that weren't productive. And the only thing that really is true with why I'm here today is this is the first opportunity for me to be able to stand here before you in a tough setting, look you face to face in the eye and tell you, I'm extremely sorry and apologize greatly for what you're suffering and going through. And I hate it for my community because a tragedy has been compounded by a development of a violation that if we had known, we definitely would have taken action on. Mayor Pro Tem did a great job for me. We had all that set up before I left. We didn't leave anybody that wasn't in the reins. He is the current Mayor Pro Tem. That's why we refer to him as that. With me standing next to him right now, he's Councilman Tips. I'm going to hand it over to him and see if he has any remarks, and then after that, we will do Q&A.
Thank you, Mayor. I only have a few things. I will tell you, you need to appreciate this guy. I mean, I could have gotten out of here. That was my job to get in front of this and come. He wanted to wait until he got back. And this, again, why it's at the airport. He wanted to be the one to deliver this and to address the situation. So I appreciate a leader like him. This situation is fluid. I will tell you, meetings have not stopped since this has all happened. It's just consistent. They're digging into the facts. And Mayor made a good statement when we were on the phone with the TCEQ. The guy said, hey, y'all are in a good position. You always take care of your stuff. You're this. And Mayor said, you know what? We're going to let the facts and the truth tell the story. So that's what we're waiting. That's what we're waiting on, is the facts and the truth to come forward. We're digging. We're finding more and more. Not in a bad way, but we're just finding more. Who knew what and when. All of the facts, all the details. So as Mayor said, the speculation on Facebook or social media, my plea to you is to let's just come together. I mean, I know some right here that have lost everything. Let's be the community that we've always been and rally around the people that have suffered tragedy instead of sowing rage baiting, sowing discontent, anger, that kind of stuff. Let's come together with who we are in Amarillo. Let me tell you, this mayor and this council, like he said, we're going to provide oversight. We are ahead of this thing. We're doing it. We're working alongside staff, but we're also doing our own things. We're also just making sure that things are done properly. Because we were elected, we are your representatives. This is who we stand for, is you. All the citizens. That's who we stand for, and that's who we'll stand for throughout this whole thing. There will be no spin. It will be the truth and the facts that tell this story. So my plea to you is let's get unity in our community. Wrap our arms around these people that suffered tragedy. Stop stirring up all the stuff. When we get to the end of this thing, which will probably be weeks, if not months, then we can take action on what needs to happen. I will tell you this, it's already been released. The superintendent of the landfill is no longer working for the city of Amarillo. So I'm just going to tell you, action is being taken, but it will be taken when the facts are discovered, when the truth is discovered. So it's not going to be just a reaction, okay? It's not going to be a reaction. It will be a response by staff and city manager. They will take the information and then they will respond accordingly. So again, I appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate Mayor coming back to address you guys, and we'll just kick it to the media for questions.
Yeah, so Don will hang loose here. Feel free to ask any questions that you've got. Let's start with you, Miss Jackie.
Jackie Kingston, Amarillo Tribune. Thanks for making time to talk to us today.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask first, so we know that there have been some changes at the employment level, as you mentioned, Councilman Sims. Let's talk about the equipment at the landfill right now. We know there was a failure from the report. We know it wasn't in working order and that it failed us last weekend. Are there pieces in place right now to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen next week?
Very, very good question. So if I can, let's create a habit here of repeating the question so that the mics pick it up and you guys can get good, accurate information. The question is, as it relates to the equipment that was broken down over the previous month, what pieces of equipment are up and running? What's been repaired? What are we still needing? To the best of my knowledge, which is very limited in arriving here today, we have mobilized a couple dump trucks. We've got some other heavy equipment out there. They are doing cover. What I'm not seeing is that the fullness of the cover, as it relates to the requirement by TCEQ, is being done on a daily basis. I think what they are working is on the face, and in gleaning through the knowledge that was in the report, it does not look like either piece of equipment has been replaced. I believe one of them may have had some repairs. Whether it's working today at the end of the day is a fluid situation as well. And so what we can do is we can reach out to staff after this. We have Miss Kristen Wolbach over here. She could relay that back, and her department would be able to push that bit of additional information to you out. Specifically, what we are doing to make sure that this doesn't happen again, we have every resource mobilized out there that we can. This is a component of compliance in making sure that that loose fill is covered. But it's not the only component of compliance, and there's several other measures that are being taken in with extreme caution.
Just a quick follow-up to that. So obviously these things happen, as we've heard from Pat, as we've heard from others across the state, landfill fires happen. Have you ever come across an experience like this before? Is this a matter of course that you're used to, where you get these reports from TCEQ, maybe a month,
Sure.
month and a half later?
So question is this landfill fire, is this a normal occurrence? Is this something new to you as mayor? I could speak to that. So I've never tried to manage or help oversee a landfill fire. I do know that they do happen commonly, and that is something that does happen. The intake can be combustibles that we say we don't allow, but they still get into the landfill, and that can be a predominant cause. However, some of these fires can burn below the surface, from my understanding, for years. And so one of the things that I know city manager has done is he's tasked the subcontractor with a high level of expertise and equipment to go ahead and do an evaluation over the other cells that are out there looking for any additional fires. It wouldn't surprise me if they don't find something in addition to what we've had there, and then we'll take that action as well.
But you haven't had something like this?
I've never dealt with anything, and then in the TCEQ, let me speak specifically. I get notices of violation that are mailed to my office. I have a responsibility to confirm with the city manager that all appropriate steps were taken, and then we file those. We scan them in and digitally file them. They're of record, and the TCEQ, you can notice back to 21, 23, 25, you'll see some things that are related to the landfill. I only saw 3 specific notice of violations in the previous 6 years now.
And let me make a
Yep.
We
further?
don't know that this specific violation contributed to this fire at all. We have no idea if that was part of it. The violation, the timing of it just looks really poor, but we don't know that violation contributed to this fire. A lot of the times the cover is more to keep it down, can also smother if there is some smoldering, things like that going on. We don't know if this was a contributing factor. Is it okay? No, it's not. And to your point with the equipment earlier, that meeting was held this morning and this afternoon. We don't have that information yet, but they're again, the dates, the timing, all that, that's what they're getting.
Thank you, Ms. Kingston. Would you like to go? Oh, Klaus.
Is the city expecting or preparing for any legal ramifications or forms of lawsuits, resignations, or firings?
You want to take that one?
Okay, so your question is the city preparing for any lawsuits, terminations, and what?
And resignations or firings?
I think, again, it's fluid. I think that if there's someone that feels like they're responsible, I think they'll come forward. If not, this is what the investigation is uncovering, is if there was someone that was negligent or they needed to be held accountable for something that they haven't done, then obviously we're going to trust management, city management staff to do what needs to be done. As far as preparing for anything, not necessarily. I mean, there's no reason. We have to complete this investigation to find out, what happened and why.
But wouldn't the city be responsible for the landfill causing homes to be damaged to the storage?
Can't speak to that. I mean, when, Jackie's question, I mean, the smoldering and those type of things happen. We would have to determine, in any case, obviously I'm in insurance, we look at negligence, we've got to determine, was there negligence? With the winds, with those kinds of things, was the due diligence performed? We don't know. But that's what we're getting down to.
And what do you have to say for those who were impacted by the fire as they hear the city officials take responsibility for the fire as they review landfill operations continue?
Repeat that again. What
do you have to say to those who were impacted by the fires as the city officials are taking responsibility for the fire as they review the landfill operations continue?
So what would we say to the victims of the fire, I mean, as they take responsibility? Gosh, I mean, I would just reach out and say, we're going to do all that we can. It's a tragedy. I think everybody feels it. I mean, that's what I love about our community and the people is we all feel it. I mean, we all feel that. So, I mean, what would I tell them? We're going to get to the bottom of it. As your elected officials, I mean, that's what we're doing, is we are getting to the bottom of it. Our staff doing the same way. We're pulling in the same direction. As Mayor said, we're providing oversight, but we're all pulling in the same direction. We need to get to the bottom of it, and then we'll proceed once we do have those answers.
Plus, if I could add to that, let me make a very direct statement. In times of tragedy, we come alongside people and we wish we had words that could bring them comfort or that could somehow solve the problem. It's unfortunate, but we have to recognize the fact right now, nothing we say will mean as much as it needs to. And that we can't really bring a lot of comfort to those victims. We can understand and we can empathize, but unless we're in their shoes, we really won't truly know. And so time through that tragedy is going to be important, but for what it's worth, you have our sincerest understanding, prayer, and I would just say acceptance of, like, we understand that where we're at in this right now is a tragedy that's been compounded by development that makes it worse. And so, once again, we apologize that we're in this position, but we're going to do everything we can to make it better. It won't be made right for some time.
And can you clarify whether the landfill superintendent was resigned or terminated?
I cannot clarify whether he resigned or terminated. I can tell you that the landfill operator is no longer employed with the city of Amarillo here today. Okay, let's work our way this way. You have questions? No? Jose?
So city manager Grayson Patsy in the video released on Facebook that he is too responsible. Why is he not here?
City manager released a video yesterday. He also put out the statement. The reason that he's not here right now is because it's important for us to draw a line of distinction. You have a form of government that is a council, city manager form of government. He is the representation for the organization of the city. We are the representation for the community at large. It's important to give us the opportunity to speak for ourselves and make sure that you guys hear it direct from us. When you bring staff into a setting like that, it can be very appropriate at times when there's not an investigation and we're performing an emergency management response. You want those subject matter experts alongside of you to speak to what happened in that, shooting or fire, what happened over here with this natural disaster. But in a situation like this, that's where we were on Sunday and Monday. At this time, we're in a different position.
What specific changes are being made immediately, not after the review, to prevent another landfill fire from starting or spreading?
Yes, so specific changes is we have on-site personnel that's heavily equipped and qualified to extinguish any fire that could come up right now. And so until we get proper cover and we're in full compliance and everything gets thoroughly and completely extinguished and we close that investigation, we'll keep personnel on site.
And why should the public trust the city to investigate itself? And what concrete action will you take today to prove this is accountability and not action?
I apologize, I didn't repeat your other question, so let me repeat this one because it's probably the best question I've heard. The question is, how do you expect the public to trust the organization to investigate itself, right? That's a great question. I would tell you, we are not, as elected representatives, trusting the staff to investigate themselves. That is why we are a separate entity as the governing body. We will work alongside them to provide oversight to the investigation, and the investigation has to be performed by the state agencies that have governance over that. Specifically, the one that's involved right now is the TCEQ.
And that was the second half of the question, was what concrete action will you take today to prove this accountability and not action?
I think you can already see that the action's already being taken. This is our first opportunity to respond here formally. Yesterday, we had things in motion. The PIR, public information request that I issued yesterday, I'll release that to all the media so you guys have all of that data. You can comb through it. And then furthermore, anything that I get is available to the public at large. And that's the way this needs to be conducted.
And should homeowners who lost their homes be compensated by the city?
I'm going to lean that one over here, Mr. Insurance.
That still has yet to be determined on how that's going to be. So we keep saying the facts. We've got to get down to it. I don't care if it's an auto accident. You get down to what were the contributing factors, what happened, where was it? You got to determine that first before any of that comes forward. So I can't make a statement, nor can anybody say, well, should they be compensated? I don't know. I don't know if they should or not until we complete the investigation.
Ms. Cavazos.
Hi, Candy Boston Mutual. Thank you guys for being with us. I know we're back to town. I should say prayers for those impacted and prayers for our firefighters. Is there anything that you'd like to say, to our first responders, and maybe some residents that are wondering what will be done for their what will be done to one that lost their home?
Sure. Yeah, let me speak to that. So the question is, the statement actually from Ms. Cavazos is, her prayers are with everybody who's affected by this tragedy. And I know we're saying that over and over, but we can't hear it enough. And especially for those of us that actually mean it and pray. And so I appreciate that. Sometimes we as people say, man, I'm praying for you. We don't always mean it. And so I hope that we as a community will continue to come together on that spiritual platform in putting others' needs first. Now, the honor and recognition that's due, you look at the Hungate fire, the response of getting the railroad built back, all of the mobilized response, perhaps one of the best coordinated efforts from AFD, Canyon Fire, Randall County, couldn't have gone better. This one on the other side, I think, definitely caught us with some higher winds up here and a different set of circumstances. Whether you fought heroically and won the battle, down south of Amarillo and Canyon, or you fought to the point of exhaustion and went to the hospital with heat exhaustion, as one of the firemen that I know did. And that structure was lost. You did everything you could within your abilities. And my hat's off to those ladies and gentlemen and every person who puts themselves in harm's way to protect others. That's an important key. Second part of your question was?
The second part of my question was, residents lost home to this fire and many are questioning whether more could have been done sooner.
I think that's always a valid question. What we cannot do is question that individual firefighter, whether he or she could have done a better job in that moment. That is not anything that needs to be pulled into the conversation, especially in a social media platform. It's always appropriate to look back in any tragedy and say, what can we do now to prevent this from happening later? I'll give you the two things that I have presented to city manager at this time. Internal audit with a compliance component to make sure that every red flag is hitting his desk. And then the second thing there, I would say, I'd like to get this out so I repeat it right and you guys don't get any mismessaging. There will need to be new policy change and measures taken to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And so the policy change specifically that I'm looking for is it is not acceptable that a state agency can notice an employee of an organization that does not come to the full awareness of upper management, city manager, and ultimately council. Ms. Nell.
The scheduling of the landfill is part of something you look at, so that it's not.
So the question from Ms. Nell is, will scheduling of the landfill be something that we look at? Do you mean like hours of operation?
Well, being closed on Sunday, Sunday.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. Scheduling of that landfill is an operations procedure, and that's something we do have oversight on, and we want a full review of all of the operations procedure from the city manager, and then we want recommendations on what needs to change in order to improve the function out there, but also limit any potential future issues. Have we? Yes, sir.
Mayor, we talked about a lot about victims in this. We have 50 plus homes lost. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are homeless in this situation. Does the city have any plans in motion right now?
Yes.
To help the victims that lost their homes, as far as helping find housing, anything at all?
This is one of the best questions that a mayor gets to answer if he gets to volunteer in a city like mine. So the question is for those that are displaced from their houses and that they have needs, and are those needs being met? I know that we spun up 2 shelters and then we closed 2 shelters. I don't believe that either of the shelters were utilized during the fire or briefly after. And the reason being is we live in such a good, I'd say, farm and ranch, agrarian style community. We've got lots of resources of other people that are already pulling together. I saw a private helicopter transporting water out of somebody's pool to try to assist our firefighters to put out the fire. That is an amazing act. I would tell you that 211, Red Cross, and all of the nonprofits that we have across the city are already flooded with donations. I reached out to the 100 Club and said, are you able to take any donations? She said, I can take cash to help those, but then I don't have the manpower to take water, food, blankets, anything like that. The city will assist in any donation efforts that we have, but we want to assist as a foundation support. We want to allow all our nonprofits to continue to do the good work that they have. Now, my email is cole.stanley@amarillo.gov. If I have any family or any person that's negatively affected by this fire that you need assistance and you have a specific request, please send it to us so that if the answer is no, I can't help with that, at least I get to vet all of the resources. 9 times out of 10, the city has resources that you don't know about. Please ask us and let us help you. Have I covered all of the media? MJ's next. Jose, let's let MJ go.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, thanks for cutting your time way short, making it back. Thank you for clarifying the difference between the council and the staff. Now, I want to ask this question. Given the fact that we know that the now former superintendent is the former superintendent, I have to ask, so far as city staff goes, who oversees the landfill? Who's watching that hauling?
So, question is we have a landfill supervisor or manager, and we probably have an assistant manager and several. But then direct supervision, I believe, and city manager can correct this if he needs to, but I believe it would be Alan Harder over Public Works, and then I believe his direct oversight would be Donnie Hooper, assistant city manager, and then above him would be Grayson Path.
Given that information, then how is it possible that your city manager has said he only just became aware of the April 30th complaint and the notice of violation that was issued, I think, Wednesday? How is it the city manager can go before the public and say, I just learned this?
Correct, yeah. So the question is how is the city manager unaware of a notice of violation that would have hit the desk of other upper management? I would say that is a possibility because we have a lack of policy right now that would put a procedural component in to force that awareness. We have far too much tech at our disposal here to be operating just on memory or I need to get back to you. And so that's what we're pushing for. Now, the breakdown in communication is specifically what you're asking. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know the breakdown in communication. That's an operational component. And so your mayor and council are not ever privy to that. You've got to understand, we don't work at the landfill. We're not in those staff meetings. We don't get privileged information from email to email. We don't know what's going on. We're policy origination and then oversight. And so that's the big struggle that I have in standing here, looking you in the face and letting you know I mean what I say. And yes, there is some authority that comes with this position, but ultimately, I don't know what I don't know, and I wish I did.
Just two more real quick, and I'll let everybody else have that. Earlier, you said you're working in lockstep with City Manager Grayson Path in this investigatory process. Given the fact you don't know what you don't know, are you hoping to learn more for yourself through this investigation process? And then let me ask one more if you done. How is it at 3:42 or at whatever time last Sunday, how did the city learn of the fire? How did they know that the dump was over there?
So you may have to repeat that. I don't. Let me take the first one. So the question is with the mayor working in lockstep with the city manager. So that is not what I stated. So I just want to clarify. I said that I am working alongside the city manager as he produces his report from a thorough investigation, and that I'm seeking all other resources that I have at my disposal to verify that investigation. So I don't want to put that out there that we are working hand in hand. He is functioning in his capacity and I will function in mine. Now, the oversight that's there is important. And as far as the reassurance of knowing what we don't know, we'll never operate on that level. Communication is one of the hardest things that we have. What we need to do is improve the structural components that operate this city to make sure that not only the mayor and council know things, but that you, the general public, understand what's going on as well. Anytime we see a silo, one of the best things this council has done is we've helped law enforcement in a capacity of breaking down silos between everything from the DEA, prosecuting attorneys, over to FBI, APD, you name it. When they see siloed information, they can't fight crime as well as they need to. That principle exists all across every department. And so whatever we can do to put eyeballs to eyeballs, put more people in meetings, and bring that out so that we can work together as a community, we'll continue to do it.
And when did the city learn about the fire? How did they know that?
Do you know?
I do know. So we actually had, city manager was on site when the fire started. We had people at the landfill. Staff was at the landfill. They were there when it started, so they responded immediately. It's just that 50 mile an hour plus gust that hit, but they were there. That's how they were notified. They literally witnessed it.
Okay, have we covered our media questions? Because I'm going to move on to the public next. Jose, you got one more?
What accountability should residents expect if the investigation finds the city staff, contractors, or leadership more without land safety risks?
I will tell you this community will expect the highest accountability based on the data that is provided through a final resolution and investigation. And this community has shown itself time and time again to be a very high expectation community. And so we as council need to understand that that is what we are working on, and you will hold us ultimately accountable for that oversight. We understand that. Steve.
Consider the city council consider bringing independent outside community to investigate this?
Question is, has council considered an outside independent committee to investigate this? And the answer to that is yes. Council is considering all options, and yes, outside external audit, outside external investigation is a must-have on something like this. My 5 favorite words, how do we know that? So we cannot just sit back and take information and then regurgitate it to you. We as council members are going to have to request over and over again further clarifications. Okay, thank you for bringing that to me. How do we know that? Show me the document. Show me the supporting document. What other third-party verifications did it go through? And this is a big deal. This is not just something that went wrong in a day-to-day operation. This is a huge deal, and we will continue to treat it like that. Can we move forward from media?
Mayor, I have one more.
Okay, we'll take a few more.
Were you aware that TCAQ conducted a site visit on Tuesday, May 19th?
So I was unaware that TCQ was on site May 19th. The only thing I became aware of was that on May 20th, a letter was mailed to my office, and I understood that that was in the mail on the 21st. So I was unaware of any TCQ investigations or actions and any notice of violation, and I believe that upper management was as well, or city manager. We'll come right back.
Follow up with that answer, let's give it to Michael. Ron, you stated that the city manager and staff were on site at the landfill and witnessed the fire starting, right?
Correct.
The landfill only closed on Sunday, and how would they just happen to be there to witness the fire starting?
I think they were there knowing that it was an issue. I think if we're referring to this fire, the one that was so bad, I believe there's a previous fire and there was small fires, so they were there monitoring it. So that was simply it. So I believe that's good on his side that he was there monitoring. We did have staff. We had AFD. We had Potter County. So when the one that we're speaking of, they were on site.
So they were monitoring the previous fire.
Yeah, making sure.
And then they have to be there.
Correct. And I believe, don't hold me to this, but I believe that that's the day that the third-party specialist that specializes in this type, he had just arrived. He was getting his equipment out, doing that type of thing. He wasn't able to mobilize yet when that 50-mile-an-hour gust hit, and then it spread.
Councilman Dixon, I think the confusion is that the original question was in reference to Sunday, whenever the landfill itself fire versus Monday.
Okay, yeah, so clarification, yeah. So it was Monday. Monday is when he was out there. Yeah. Thank you, Kristen.
Okay, can we move past our media and into some of our public? Jose, I'll take yours and I'll be the last one.
Would either of you move to have a city manager fired?
So what was the question again?
Would either of you move to have a city manager fired?
So the question is would either of us move to have the city manager fired? Let me state it in the right way. We are part of the governing body, and the governing body itself would come together to take action if we felt like the city manager could not competently perform his task. I will say this. Today is the first day that I get to do my job for you in learning about this yesterday, as far as you know it. But I started my work yesterday at 11 o'clock calling the TCEQ. So you're becoming aware of my work ethic or my willingness to engage in my role. City manager took that same initiative yesterday. So let's be specific to just this one landfill fire and his performance. He had some executive leadership in hiring a third party with some expertise that was there mobilizing Sunday night, tried to fight the fire on Monday, and ultimately, will prevent a lot of other disasters from happening by bringing us the expertise that he needs. I encourage that behavior. He's got out in front of this in a few other ways. I believe that for the city manager to be judged per his performance, much like I'm asking for mine, let's give him a minute to properly conclude on all this, bring a full report and an investigation before we talk about, whether or not he performed on this landfill fire. It's a good question, but I think that it's a premature question. So at this time, we're going to move out of our media. We're going to move into our public. I would ask if I've got Trent.
So, Don, first of all, thank you for your service and leadership to our community. I know your heart's behind us. Thank you for that. So, our property line is the closest property line to the actual southeast corner of the fire protection. So, I have two questions today. I already talked about one. I'll let you handle that side. But the first question I have, after hours in the month of February, you called me 911 because there was another fire in the same pit. Is that ever reported? What's supposed to be done on that?
Okay. So if I'm saying it right, it is Trent Jones. So Mr. Jones, thank you for being here today. I'm thankful that your house wasn't in the line of fire and that everything you have is standing. I'm regretful that you probably gave another red flag that we were unaware of. So we were not aware at the council level that we would have had a fire in that other cell. Now, I would ask, that needs to be part of the investigation. When was the fire put out? What was the response? Was the 911 call received, processed? Did they ever follow up with you? You don't have to give that information here and now, but I would appreciate you working with us and alongside us to look at those items. The other thing is the trash that blows over on your property. We will become a much better neighbor in maintaining the wind barriers and controlling some of that loose debris, primarily plastic bags that are blowing. So does that answer both questions, or did you have something else?
I just speak on behalf of the neighborhood that our pleas for the litter to be picked up from that city landfill. It's on the years. I just pray for improvement going forward with that.
Well, I have no doubt that will substantially improve, and you will definitely see some improvement as it relates to kind of the litter and the trash around your property.
And let me add one other thing. I will tell you, as I tell almost every citizen that brings something to us, we would love that when you call 911 and that happens, and if I don't know what the response was, like Mayor said, it's not for you to disclose that now, but you can individually. We need to know about that when it's not done properly, because that, as the board, of this organization, there's so many things that you guys are aware of that we don't know, but it's through partnerships with our citizens that's how we find things out. We cannot be everywhere at all times. And we do depend on our organization to function in a healthy way and in a very customer service oriented way. When that breaks down, we need to know. That's when it does need to come to us. We don't need you as citizens, and I hope everybody hears us, to not just lay down and be like, man, this is just mediocre. I'm not getting great service. Well, then that's when it needs to come to us so that we can rectify that situation. If we don't know, we don't know. But if you let us know, this is where, like Mayor said, this is where we can develop policy or hold accountability. There are metrics being placed right now. I will tell you this, not because of the fire, but before the fire, on every single department in the city. I will tell you, we've got a great man in Rich Gagnon. He's developed metrics for every one of them, and we're continuing to do that will eventually be forward facing to you guys that you can see. So appreciate you bringing that to us, but I hope everybody hears that. We need to know, and it's through a partnership with you guys that we make our organization better.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes, and I will. I've got receipts, emails, pictures, videos, and all that, and I'd be happy to send that to you and not post it on Facebook.
I think that'd be very helpful.
The other thing I did want to ask is, being so close and with the fire being the way it is and chemicals and things out there, is there an issue or is anything we talked about, like air quality out there?
Yes.
it doesn't smell
Yes,
like a
so,
fire.
yeah, the question is air quality concerns, carcinogens, chemicals, things like that from a burning fire, and whatever will continue to go on before this is resolved. So, yes, it's a great concern, and we will rely strictly and heavily on that Department of Quality, Environmental Control, and Compliance. And so they will speak to it, they will test it, and they will use some third-party verification as well. Now, in the meantime, before all of that and the dust settles, if you have any concerns, we want to know about them individually, just like Councilman Tips just said. We do rely heavily on our citizens to communicate with us. Okay, Mr. Gaultier.
In regards to Mr. Jones' comment about the quality of air issue, just I want to let you know, because I don't know if you heard his press conference, but Donnie Hooper in two press conferences said that is not their concern at this point, the air quality. There was no monitoring going on at the time. So you need to know that.
Yeah.
Because they were not monitoring the area. Donnie Hooper, I was not really said that air quality is not our concern at this time.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Craig. The statement that he made is that Mr. Hooper stated that the air quality was not a concern. I don't know that that's factually accurate, but we will take that as a factually correct statement. And I will just say every matter right now is of grave concern for us in the oversight of this issue. This is a really big deal. It happened because we didn't know that a few other things could become such a big deal. So that means that the procedure moving forward is we will treat everything with the same level of priority and importance, regardless of maybe how we've treated it in the past. You have a question?
Yes, sir. Again, thanks for cutting your trip short in meeting with the public and taking our questions, because my questions were not answered by your city manager at the first press conference. So he completely ignored me and walked away. He never spoke to the media at all. You need to know he's the CEO of your organization, and he is supposed to be the leader of this organization. Are you disappointed even to this point, even on Friday, when you're out there at the press conference taking questions from the media and the public, that our city manager has yet to go before the public and get out in front of this? Why didn't he get out? Are you disappointed that he didn't get out in front of this, or even anybody get out in front of this on Sunday night, Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday? Why did the media only get a 40-minute notice? There was a pop-up press conference on Tuesday, and then they had another 40-minute notice on Wednesday of another pop-up press conference. Some of the media didn't even make it there at that time. So my whole question here is, are you disappointed in your city manager's lack of communication with the public about the issues that are going on here and the media, and how will you address this in the future with your city manager?
So, Craig, thank you. The question is, am I personally disappointed in the city manager's performance over the last week? And then the statement that preceded that was, thank you for cutting your trip short. Like, no, man, my trip doesn't matter. I didn't cut my trip short. I prioritized my family to take my daughters and my lovely wife out of town after I felt like the fire was contained. I handed the reins over to Mayor Pro Tem. When we knew what was happening on Thursday, we had scheduled airfare that got us back here at 3. I knew it was an important thing to be here today, and this is my role. And so I'm not disappointed in him not standing here with me. I don't need him here. As it relates to different performance, I am looking for each department to perform, and I think that's part of our oversight. Giving OEM, emergency management, an opportunity to give their press conference without me in attendance and without me running that, without the city manager perhaps running that as well. I think at times in emergency response, it does come best from the sheriff and from the chief. Now, in looking back, are there things that could have been done better and different? Absolutely. Am I disappointed? Yes, I am constantly disappointed in many things in governance, right? What I try to do is factually appropriate the level of disappointment that I hope you do for me as well. Because the same question could be asked. You could ask everybody here, are you disappointed in your mayor for not being out there fighting the fires? Are you disappointed your mayor didn't know that this fire started? Are you disappointed that he didn't get in front of the camera? Are you disappointed that he was out of town with his family? That is all so subjective and not profitable for this conversation. My disappointment is in any lack of doing the best job that we can to serve the citizens of this community. And so, yes, I'm disappointed that we're here. Am I disappointed in any one person? I'm not. Do I expect more? Absolutely. Thank you, Craig. Mrs. Benson.
The buzzword now is accountability. Use transparency towards stuff. Now we have accountability. So I need you guys to explain, what do you mean by accountability? Yes, you fired or resigned or whatever with this low superintendent, not low, but I mean, he's low man on the totem pole, hierarchy. Are you going to have the accountability for your manager? They should have known that equipment's broke down. Why didn't they come to you guys and say, we need this replaced?
Mm-hmm.
This landfill going, so this strategy is not done.
Mrs. Benson's statement really is accountability, and with the equipment malfunctions that upper management and council was unaware of, it severely limits our ability to do our job that we are being held accountable for here today to you in how we oversee this. We will hold staff accountable fully and completely to put every new procedure and policy in place to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And then with that in place, if a manager does not work alongside and fully comply with those policies and procedures, then ultimately what we need is some pre-accountability. We need to have some metrics in place that this right here has a tolerance of 1, 2, 3. This up here is a tolerance of 0. And so in any organization, those are important metrics, and you'll see us continue to push for those.
Now, let me add, and let me just clarify, because many people are watching this, as you know, but many don't. Our job is not staff. We do not control staff. We don't manage staff. We don't fire staff. We don't hire staff. Our only one or two, right, is the city manager, right, and the municipal judge. So when you're asking about staffing, that's not our job, nor will we get involved. Our job will be, to your point of accountability, is that we can hold Grayson Path, city manager, accountable as we feel necessary when it comes to the evaluation of this situation in this case, and who should be held responsible, and if we feel like the proper accountability was upheld. So I just want to clarify for everybody else that they don't understand our form of government as well. That's not our job, staffing.
That's great clarification, Pat. Yes, ma'am.
That being said, you've been on the council almost 4 years, or 3 years now. Do you think our system is working here in the way it's set up? Charter, where you only have control for that city manager and municipal.
Can I take that one?
You may.
Okay. Well, I started the meeting by telling you, like, I would tell you what I know, and I'll tell you how it is. And so this is kind of where it begets. Do you mean what you say, and do you say what you mean? Back to Mr. Gaultier's point, am I disappointed? If there's one thing that I'm the most disappointed in, is our form of governance. The city of Amarillo was adopted in 1913 under this charter for one of the first city manager forms of government back when we had some horses and a few cowboys rolling up and down one street. My grandfather was a fire chief when he retired here, I believe assistant, and he worked for the city of Amarillo for 36 years. In 1965, it was totally different. The organization that we're trying to run right now, that runs a $500 million budget with my hands tied behind my back, yet my face is far out in front of Facebook as any of you guys want to stretch it. And am I satisfied? I don't believe so. Am I being pointed and direct? I signed up for this because I felt a calling. I will do whatever the Lord tells me to do next. I am not enjoying this position, nor do I find it to be a position desirable. I would like to see our citizens represented through representative government. But the organization that we have, the charter that we have, You voted down the recall measure that I proposed to you to even recall me. I don't know how to get through to the voting public. And I'm being as raw and real, which I'm sure I'll take a bath on Facebook for this later. Right? Okay, Mrs. Benson gave her word she would not mistreat me tonight. I'm very disappointed in our form of governance. Do I know how to make it better? Honestly, I don't. I'm just trying not to quit.
Grayson stated that he did not know anything about the violations, previous violations. Did Donnie Hooper know anything about the previous violations? Because Donnie Hooper's real good friend is this that's no longer with us. They're very good friends.
So the question is, did Donnie Hooper know about the violations from the TCEQ? I have been given lots of documentation that I was able to peruse earlier today to look at landfill cover and daily and some other metrics. I do not have a thorough investigation of that document yet that would tell me which individuals specifically were noticed under that. So I cannot tell you that here today, but that's a valid question, and we'll make sure we know in this investigation and report of who all was noticed and when they knew and what did they know and what action they took. Let's keep going. I saw your hand, sir. Yes, sir.
I probably went out there longer than anybody here. We know I'm a crane operator by trade. I see that them outside. Anything that trains outside on job. Anytime something like that happens, it's negative. And when you're a man to get fired there, he wasn't an arsonist. Somebody said that he wished he had that. Let's don't go after that. I think it's a thing that happened.
Yeah, so do you have anything you want to add to that?
I'll just repeat that so everybody can hear.
I'll just repeat that. The statement from the gentleman is, and I believe he lost everything in the fire. So this is one of the individuals that we feel the most empathy and sorrow for. I hate that you're going through this, and I wish I could go back a few weeks. But his statement is that, you know, our landfill operator is not an arsonist and that he didn't start the fire. But in an organization like this, there is accountability through oversight, and that is the outcome that was taken, was performance of that position and the needed change. And I'll follow that up with policy. It's not enough. And I thank you for saying we're not out for blood. We're not trying to fire people. What we're trying to do is operate the city better. So, yes, sir, next to him.
Yes, sir. My name's Gorilla, and my house is not on the ground. It was out there Saturday or Sunday, they had a fire out there again. We don't leave a fire. We used to get volunteer fire department myself. We'd be out there. So we didn't leave a fire until we come out. I don't care if it was 3 o'clock in the morning or if it was 2 o'clock in the day. We never left a fire. Somebody let it get away. You don't let it get out of the bucket. You keep the bucket closed. They let it get away, and it run and took everybody out. So, are you going to pay for my house? Are you going to build me a new house? You going to build this man a new house? You going to build this man a new house? What are we supposed to do? You're going to leave here. You're going to go home. How would you feel knowing that that plane y'all took vacation on had been worked on before you left? Now you're kind of wondering, maybe I shouldn't go. I'll just stay here. Halfway across the country, it goes down. Your wife, your kid are gone. Who are you going to go after? You going to go get the mechanic, or are you going after the airport?
Yes, sir. I hear what you're saying.
No, you don't.
No, I do. No, I do. I hear exactly what you're saying. There's a procedure in place, and I will not push back on you one bit. I will hold the line with you. You are my constituent. I'm here representing you, and I know you're angry, and I don't blame you for it at all. I do not blame you at all. I wish that I could fix it. I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
I mean, well, I was sure this way.
I understand. I know that there are measures in place with the city of Amarillo right now to look at all options.
But that don't help me. I got a sleeping tent out there that just some jackass wants to steal. What's around?
Yes, sir.
And there ain't nothing there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's all I can get. What the hell are we supposed to do?
I'll do anything I can for you, sir. So,
Get another check.
and I wish I could.
See, you can't.
I cannot, no. But I will be available to you. And I don't, I mean, the answer may be, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I will still look you in the eye and do everything I can to help you. And I don't understand what you're going through, but I know everything that you're feeling is 100% right in the moment. And I wish you weren't here in that capacity. I cannot change that. But what I can do is walk this out in one step at a time moving forward.
Meantime, I'm going to sleep in the tent.
Sir, we can work on that for sure.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I just want to spread a little bit on the timeline that happened. A Sunday, we were the ones that called the fire in about 3:30.
Okay.
I don't know who were the first ones, but her response was responders were on the way.
Okay.
We watched it for a couple hours. Didn't seem to be changing much. We drove over Eagle Tree, drove right up to the fire. And there were fire trucks lined up in the street. They weren't doing anything.
Okay.
It got so bad, and there was some residents that lived right there by the fire. You couldn't breathe. She can't hardly breathe anyway. So we lived into the house. We lived right probably 300 yards from the fire engine station. Watched it all evening. 2 fire trucks, engine 3, engine 11, were posted up right by the dump. That's Beals.
Yes, sir.
At 11 o'clock or 8 o'clock, they left. As far as we could see, there was one truck went over Eagle Tree. Everything else went. Okay, this thing's still burning. Got up Monday morning. I think we're already for the sun come up, and we couldn't see anything. Smoke was so bad. Went to work, still seeing it from town. I drove back to the fire. I drove up to the pit. One truck sitting 50 yards from the fire. They're sitting in the road, still burning. Okay. A woman approached me while I was sitting there. I went out of the gate here. You know what they're going to do? They tell me they're not going to put it out.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat there for, I talked to her for a minute. I told them why. The smoke got so bad, didn't want us to breathe. So I left and went back to the house. Of course, we all know what happened about 3:30. 24 hours later, this thing blew up.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back in. We probably had, we didn't have 10 minutes to get out of the house. And responders started showing up. We went to the Carpenter Hollow, right across Tascosa Road. I sat there, truck one after another coming in. No problem with them responding to it, but there was nobody there when this thing blew up.
Okay.
They weren't fighting it. I mean, there was a fire in the ditch in front of my house. It hadn't made it to my house yet. You can burn my house down there.
Mm-hmm.
Fire truck, Clark County fire truck, pulled up the street, looked at the fire, turned around and drove off. If they put that out, I might still have a home.
So,
Let's come together and get these people.
yes. Yeah. So, let me go back here real quick. You're bringing up investigation questions of exactly what happened, and you're an eyewitness, and we need that testimony. I don't know Potter County, volunteer or subcontractor or AFD. I don't know. What I know is that there was no stand down order, let it burn. But in saying that, what needed to happen that day or what they had under control or they felt like they had under control, I don't know. Let me do my job. There's very little I can do for you. But my job is to go and find out to the best of our ability what actually happened and then to hold that into an account. And so you have my sincerest apologies. I don't expect it to mean much today, but I hope it does here in the next 2 to 4 weeks. And in the meantime, we have a group of people here. What can we do for you and your family tonight?
Build the house, I'm sleeping in tomorrow.
You want to maintain on that property? You want to stay on the property?
You think I can afford to go anywhere else?
Okay, if we can cover that cost, is that something you would leave the property or do you want to? Okay.
I've got 34 years down there.
Well, let me look into what we can do to provide an RV or something for you to live in on the property.
I need electricity. They won't give me electricity until I get a meter pole put in. I live on top of Rock Hill. You know how it is to dig in the rock?
Yes, sir.
You can't dig in the rock. But I gotta put a pole in so they put electricity to it.
Okay.
They'll dig the hole for me. No, that's your pole. You dig the hole.
Well, you may not want my assistance in this, sir, but I'll offer it to you. I'll be glad to give you my contact information and to get yours right after this meeting. We'll go to work. Okay. Do I have other members of the public here that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Abby Moore. Kind of like in the middle of everything. My family lives on Route 12. They live in front, so they're all in a line. One of them lost the house completely. One of them had smoke damage that suffocated him to the attic and is not suited for habitation. One of them burnt barns down or sheds. They kept the house. They leave. Another neighbor, street over, the fire got really close. So I've witnessed kind of like every stage you probably have in a fire. I was there to get my in-laws out. I just want to thank y'all for your time and for all the problems on land and in the air. I stood watch on my hill all through the night. I could see fire trucks moving. I could see planes going right over my head. It was really awesome to see, but it was very devastating. My in-laws, we barely got them out in time. And I'm thankful for watching the police awareness for a voluntary evacuation. Because that's what spurred me to call them, because they had no idea. They don't, there's a lot of older neighbors. They don't go on social media and stuff like that. So I'm thankful for that as well. It was almost like a equivalent to a 9/11 event for them, because when we got them out, the smoke was so bad we couldn't really breathe. We got them to my house, which is on Eagle Street on Gow, and they just watched their house burn down. So there's a lot of PTSD involved in that. But I wanted to say, even my lungs, I was coughing for like 3 days after, because there was some potatoes and air quality. I just wanted to say, I think maybe I'll look into another entry and exit out of the downward road. I know it's been way over the years. Maybe it's worth a look into, because either way, it's like 30 minutes to get to something in the middle, and it's very hard. And that's where the air people can play after. Thankfully, my house is spared, but my in-laws are still
Without. Miss Abby, thank you for speaking and telling us. And then, once again, we want to look for all resources that we may have that can assist. We have a lot of resources. The gentleman in the back, I believe we can help in many ways. And so with your family, the same. And then the emergency management response will continue to be, reviewed.
There is a fear that the fire come back.
Yes, ma'am.
It's really out. I'm sure there's some fear because they're 24/7 monitoring of it.
Right. Yeah. So the contract crew that's on site still there, and they are maintaining control of that. And so, to the best of our knowledge, we have every resource that we need right there.
There also might be some interest in putting the education out there as to how they can fireproof their yard.
Mm-hmm.
I have pictures of a lady that I got out of the house at a time where it was really close to the house. Her husband, before he died, put this metal barrier with some rocks, and it seemed like the fire just stopped right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that helps or not, but in my mind it does. They might get some education out there on how people can.
Miss Abby, we can definitely
Help with that.
we can definitely look into that as well. Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, first part is kind of a suggestion. We have a code enforcement with the marshal's office. I think the question I would ask is, do we enforce our code on our departments? It's kind of a suggestion, I bet you we don't. And I think that we get a lot of things around our fees for the government, and we should have bigger expectations. The second part is Cindy Washington, city manager, speaking. If you with your own business, the highest paid guy in your company, you've got pretty big expectations on that. And we talked about knowing what you don't know. That guy, the highest paid guy in your company, he better know what he don't know. And we've got a problem because he should be checking what's most important. He should be driving out there and looking at that part and see if this big prospect you would expect out of your guy that's making 6 figures. He makes $300K, and to say he didn't know, that's just because he didn't get that notice. It's more important that he wasn't checking up on all the top departments and he wouldn't put eyes on him. So I'd like to know, as far as being disappointed, I think you can be pretty disappointed if he's your top paid guy. He's your top paid guy in the city. So I'd like to know the same answer to Mr. Craig's question.
Craig's?
I mean, from that standpoint, are you
Sure.
disappointed for him not knowing?
I'm going to give you the same answer that I gave Mr. Gaultier, that I want to allow him to do his job in this situation fully and completely, and then I want to evaluate that as a governing body. I don't want to tell you my personal feelings on anything because honestly they don't matter. It matters what the governing body chooses to do and comes together for. And then I think we can do a much better job in putting those metrics out that help gauge all of that review on performance. So yes, I have certain levels of disappointment in governance. I've made that clear. But in this specific issue with the landfill fire and what he didn't know, I do want to remain positive and look forward to trying to put those procedures in place so that the next mayor and council has more to work with than we did. Mr. Adair? Mr. Ford?
Two things. First and foremost, I don't want to defame the way you make compliment because hearing you speak this way, Cole, I'm really encouraging you to. The fact that you basically put daylight between yourself and the city and are trying to maintain an objective view and asking for answers where we've seen kind of you're facing the city now with your voters and your constituents like behind you, and you're going to be asking some tough questions. I'm taking at your word that as you move forward, we too are asking, you know this, we ask tough questions as well. We sat through 3 press conferences, one where Rick Letier got manhandled at the end of it for asking questions, and the other 2 at the city and at the county, and we heard nothing about anything from the TCEQ, notices of violation, potential parallels with the actual fire and cause of the fire. And so, learned about that about the 10 o'clock conference after the last conference. And so, Don, I know you're like not a fan of what we do sometimes in PT14, but and I may be taking a lot of leeway with what your comment was, but the community would not have known, and I think you kind of pushed the needle on the city manager coming out and addressing it. If we hadn't posted that, and all we posted was TCEQ records, and we've now posted updated that with the actual surveillance report. So, you know, and we know that we've got some very upset people, some up here, rightly so, very upset. So, you know, in terms of our ability to kind of bring issues to the fore, your comment earlier just struck me, and I'm just wondering if you're still of that. And I know you're concerned about the violence and the other things that go forward there.
Yeah.
If you don't see some value in what we're doing here in terms of raising the awareness, bringing to light the things that have not been brought to light, the fact that the city never mentioned the TCQ issue, and then Cole, you're going to maybe see some records that show that there was enough time to respond, and the city got the report on the 11th. Whoever was responsible got the report on the 11th. So I just want to respond in terms of bringing value to the community in terms of like education. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are upset, but also people now know what they did.
Yeah, for sure, Mr. Ford. So if you felt like that comment was pointed toward you or these 2 individuals, it was not. It's in general. My plea to the public was to just be in unity and to be careful with your comments. No, we're very grateful. I think, Mayor, we wouldn't have known about that. I don't know how you knew so quick. I don't know if you combed through that stuff, but the city was not made aware. So no, grateful. I mean, of course. I mean, you guys uncover stuff. So if you felt like my comment to be come behind the people that suffered tragedy, or be in unity and be a community and not rage baiting and not doing those things, that was not pointed at you. So if you felt like that, it in no way was. If you've been on Facebook, which I know you are, there's a lot of that stuff going on, and it's not acceptable. It's not okay. People are saying things that aren't true. They're misquoting information. They're putting information out there that's not true. That's what I'm requesting is like, hey, stop that. Let the truth and let the facts tell the story. Now, we can't control that. That's why it's just simply an ask to the public to say, can we not be in unity when so many members of our community have been affected by a tragedy, but yet we're pointing fingers, we're coming after staff, we're doing this, we're doing that. We're telling you that there will be a level of accountability. Not overusing it like transparency and all the things, but I hope you can see by this, we are getting in front and we are being transparent with the information that we have. We're not hiding anything. Cole and I talked and we said, anything we have, we're putting it out there. The public information request that he requested and we got, he's going to put it out there. So I hope you didn't feel that was pointed at you or you. It wasn't. It's in general. There's too much on social media that can affect so many people. And I love, comments here from people that lost everything. I mean, he's like, listen, we're not asking for heads to roll. This is a time to come get someone that could come in and be very upset and throwing a fit, but not. I mean, we need to keep the important things important. And that is community. That's our people. That's the citizens.
Just a comment. And thank you for that response. We appreciate that. We did make, to your point, coming together. We did make another post yesterday. We've got now almost 5,000 members. And we are asking for people who've been affected, families who've lost everything, have no insurance. We're building teams around those people. And we've got 3 or 4 families so far. But if anybody knows, we were just asking, let us know. And then people are asking what they can do. And say, this is what you can do. And either one is definitely.
Yeah. And I think that-
that's what we're asking to do right now. You guys information out because we put 30 or 40 people. We got an organization of 5,000 people.
That's great. That's what our community is about. And that's what I want to see is, yes, absolutely.
Can I say something? So, Michael Ford runs a page called PT4T that I still am on. So I see all of I'm a member. Unfortunately, I read all of the disappointment of like, wow, we don't know who this guy is. We're disappointed in him. I don't know what happened. They got to him. I don't know. I mean, I'm just doing the same job I've been doing the entire time. But with that, today was, let's get up early. Let's get on the plane. Let's get ourselves home and let's be ready to face this head on and just trust our population to hear it and trust it for what it is. And I see my wife, she's like, oh Lord, here's another Mike video. And so we jump on the PT4T because we can't not get baited into watching it, even though I'm trying not to ever look at social media again. And what he says is he says, I have a different task for you. We have 4,500 of us. Let's come together and let's help these people. So, Mike, it just goes to show that you're not on the other side. We're both on the side of the citizens. We love and care for this community, and we care about people, or we wouldn't do this. You wouldn't spend all the time and the hours you're doing to try to do this. What we all know is that there's a certain level of governance that gets done below the surface, and that's what we hate. I just happen to be the easiest guy to shoot at right now. I get that. But we all want to see it come to the surface. We all want to see it get better, and we're all looking for a better way. The staff down at the city are not bad people. They're not the enemy. They're not the ones. They're serving you. They're providing core services. The system itself is a problem. And I know y'all are pointing that out, and I'm not dodging it. I'm just telling you I don't know how to fix it. But thank you for being willing to prioritize the victims of this tragedy and being willing to put their needs before any agenda or any, post, and then utilizing the platform that the Lord's given you to lead. And there comes great responsibility with that. So I feel it, and I'm willing to do the work with you, and I know you guys are as well. So if we can come together, Don is a great ally, so is the rest of the council. I don't get to have them here. All 5 of us would be here. So I hope you understand that. We're not allowed to all be here at the same time. But we truly are trying to walk this out for the good of those that have been hurt the most in this fire. And I thank you for everybody who's willing to give us just a little bit of patience. I'm not asking for any trust. I'm just asking for a little bit of patience in trying to step this out. Did you get to ask a question, or are you good? Okay, thank you. This has been an hour and a half. I'll stay as long as it takes, but I hope you guys see, we're not trying to bail out on you. Media, if you need to leave, we get it. You got deadlines. Ma'am, if I could get to you next, I know you've got a comment or a question. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
When is the next meeting that people, like the homeless people over there, can come to, or my family can come to understand what your goal is and what you're doing, so we don't have to speculate. So
Sure.
we know. Tell me when that meeting is and
Okay.
where it is and what time it is.
That's a great question, and I'd like to address that. So the question is when are we going to have a meeting where we can get together and see what the status of this investigation is, what the next steps are, how this is working? So we will not delay any longer than we have to. I don't have it scheduled, but I can schedule it.
Where will we find the information?
I can-
Because this was random to find this.
Understood, yes. And so we're pushing this out, every outlet that we can. We're thankful that you're here. We'll continue to push it out, but we'll be able to use the city of Amarillo and that media outlet on that next meeting. We'll schedule a meeting next week to come back together and talk through everything. I would tell you it's probably Friday before we get enough to feel comfortable to sit down, because we don't want to have a meeting that lets people down with, okay, this didn't really help. You're wasting my time. I'm not getting the
Nobody
answers.
who's homeless feels like you're wasting their time.
I understand.
They don't have a house, they don't have clothes, they don't have their animals anymore. Nobody feels like you're wasting time. We want to know. We are asking. We're not going to, oh, you better be done by Friday. No, please. Everybody is asking.
Ma'am, there's two things that I need to work on for you. One is a meeting on a follow-up for the investigation side, further reports on what happened and what we're doing internally. The other is community outreach and working with those people that are volunteering. And so Tuesday morning, first thing, we will go to work on identifying every resource that we can to help each and every one of you. And you will have someone reaching out to you by Tuesday.
Get a list of all the people who lost their homes.
I do not, but they are compiling that list. And then I have lots of resources. Everybody from 211, and yes, and I want everybody that's here, I'd love to get your name, phone number, contact, email, so we can have you personally. But there's many more of you, and I don't have that list, but we need
There's
it.
more than 52 or 77 because there are families represented. They're not just one person in a home. That's what burns. There's way more people.
Unfortunately, I don't have any resources that I can tap into over the weekend, but Tuesday is the first available date, and we'll work on it in the city manager's office Tuesday morning.
But I would also say reach out and please tell others in your community to reach out to the city so that we can compile that information. Yeah, we don't have the ability to look and see. There's certain records that we're not able to ascertain, but that's the message I think Mayor's trying to get out is there's so many resources we have available, but please reach out, and let us know, and then that contact can happen. And then we're able to reach out and say, hey, these are the resources we have available. So that helps. And I know you think, well, that's silly. We need, so please tell everyone in your community that has been affected and have them tell people to reach out. That's the only way we're going to know. So that would be greatly helpful. And then we can set up a list of those to have the meetings and to make you aware.
Max on the Tuesday press conference at 4:30 that the city of Amarillo shut down at 5 o'clock. The only information he gave victims were that we're closing down their shelters. They're going to be closed. If you need a concern or you have something, you can call 211. That's the only resources that these people can give you. And then when you compile a press conference, again, at 4:30, and then your city of Amarillo only allows 6 questions to get that out to the public. And then now your city staff, Mr. Tips and Mr. Stanley, you're telling everybody that they can't. These people have no homes. Those people, your staff should have their asses up at City Hall working on this bill right now. And they should be working on the weekends, not until Tuesday.
Understood.
When it comes to the communication and so forth, and you're talking about the negative stuff that gets out there on Facebook, the reason why the negative stuff comes out there is because your staff puts this up against the public, and you don't allow the communication to take place. So of course there's going to be misinformation. You're not disappointed in your city manager who's not communicating with your public who makes $300,000 a year. That's disappointing to me, that you're not upset for these people. Your city manager, you are out here in front of everybody. Your city manager is not busy. He's made a goofy AI video, and that's all he's done. And I cannot believe you're not outright. All you did was apologize to him, and you're not disappointed in your city manager?
Understood.
I mean, ridiculous. 2 press conferences pop up.
Yes, sir. Let me go here, and then I'll get you, Shane.